How I built a 200K side hustle in 1 year.
I built a side hustle from scratch and scaled it to over 200,000 in revenue in 1 year while working full time. And today, I'll show you what the business is and how I plan to scale it to $1 million in revenue a year. Back in 2022, I decided to make it a goal to take my family, including my parents, grandma, and aunts to a European trip since they've never been before. And I was really into travel hacking and was always on this Facebook group called 10x Travel, where people basically share a bunch of tips and advice on travel hacking. So while hanging out in the group, I noticed that a lot of folks were racking up tons of points basically through business expenses. That got me thinking about side hustle that could generate big monthly expenses. So I got on YouTube, like everybody, and searched for side hustle idea. Eventually, that led me to Amazon FBA reselling. So Amazon FBA has a few strategies, and they are basically online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, wholesale, brand direct, and private label. Online arbitrage involve buying branded stuff like Nike, Adidas, Stanley, branded product online, and you resell it at market price on Amazon. And retail arbitrage is very similar, but instead of buying stuff online, you actually go to a retail store, physical store, and you buy the product. Wholesale actually involve getting the product in bulk, in volume, from wholesalers or distributor and selling them on Amazon. And then brand direct, it's basically contacting the brand directly and then becoming a authorized reseller for their products. Private label is basically you yourself creating, marketing, and selling your own branded product on Amazon. Each one of this strategy has its own approach and also.
But by the way, you could drop ship and still do private label, or white labeling, I believe it's called, where you just have the product and then you just put your own design or label on it so it appears as if it's yours, but it's been made and manufactured by somebody else, if that makes sense.
So a lot of learning curve, making Amazon FBA a pretty versatile and could be challenging at first. When I decided to start Amazon FBA, I was actually pregnant with my first baby and already at the end of the third trimester, just literally weeks away from going into labor. So I quickly learned how to set up a business using my social security number. I basically went to the town, I registered a DBA, which is doing business as basically a name for your business. And then I got a virtual physical address and also obtained an EIN, which is a 9-digit tax ID for your business from the IRS. And then also opened a bank account and applied for my first business credit card, all within like 1 week. So the week before giving birth, I actually went to store like TJ Maxx, Marshall, Walmart to learn how to use a scanning app called SellerAmp, which is used for finding product that I can resell for a profit. So on the day I actually went into labor, I shipped my first box of product to Amazon warehouse and I was on fire. I remember the excitement of seeing my very first sale at the end of November 2022. It was thrilling to know that I didn't have to ship anything to the end user because Amazon handled all the logistics for me once you ship them the box of product. So in my first month doing retail arbitrage, which is what I started with, I generated a little over 1,000 in revenue, but only 125 in profit. But by the second month, I brought in about 3,100 in revenue with about 560 in profit. And then the third month, I brought in even more. I increased the revenue to 7,800 with a profit of $1,500. However, in the fourth month, despite putting a lot more time and a lot more work, I only brought in about $6,400 in revenue and made just $280 in profit due to very large software expenses. As your business grows, you kind of have to spend a lot more in different software. I was also returning to full-time work after my 12 weeks of maternity leave. So I noticed that I basically spend my weekends driving around for like 12 hours and hopping from store to store to find and buy products. And then I spend the evening basically just preparing, removing stickers and ship them to Amazon warehouses, often until like 3 a.m. It was pretty rough. The first few months were pretty tough due to all the new things that I had to learn. During this 4 months of RA, combined, I basically brought in about $18,482 in revenue and generated $2,566 in total profit. However, this made me realize how how much time I was spending away from my newborn just to make a few $100s a month. Despite the challenges though, I didn't give up on this venture. I was basically generating a good amount of points for travel. So I was opening business credit card every 30-day to 60-day each, and each one of them have a welcome bonus that is pretty substantial. So this first few months gave me the confidence and basically positive reinforcement that I could make this business work. It was a really great proof of concept for starting my own company. So I knew that to scale this business, I couldn't keep spending hours just like driving around, hopping from one store to another, trying to find profitable inventory, but only getting one or two of each product. That was not very scalable. That's when I actually decided to invest more in my education. So I used all the profit that I had made so far, and then I bought an Amazon FBA course. It was a very expensive one, couple of $1,000s, but it helped me transition to online arbitrage, basically buying stuff online. So I learned to basically use a software called Keepa Product Finder to find winning product to buy and resell online from the comfort of my home, so I didn't have to drive around. The time that I previously spent driving around on the weekends was now spent basically going over hundreds of thousands of products online for hours. So my first month of online arbitrage brought in about $8,325 in revenue, with a profit of $975 due to additional software expenses to scale the business. Some of that is actually RA. So things started to change quickly as I became more and more familiar with OA strategy. The revenue and profit were far better compared to all the other businesses that I had tried before. I flipped furniture before, bought from Estee Sale and sold on Facebook Marketplace before, but nothing like this. Okay, wait. Before I continue with the numbers, please hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't yet to show support for this very small channel. I'll greatly appreciate it. Back to the numbers. For April 2023 marked my second month of online arbitrage and my 6th month of doing Amazon FBA. I achieved $19,373 in revenue with a profit of $4,450 in 1 month alone. So by July, I hit a personal milestone of $20K in revenue with yet another $4,400 in profit. So to continue scaling this business, I made more strategic changes in September 2023. I basically outsourced all of my prep work to a prep center, which is basically a third-party company that receives and prepares my online arbitrage product. So instead of sending it to my house, I send it to a prep center, and they charge a fee per unit. So additionally, I hire a few virtual assistants from the Philippines to help me with admin tasks like checking emails and stuff like that, and also sourcing. So as a result, my expenses were high in October, the highest it had been. So even though I brought in $18K in revenue, I only generated about $171 in profit. However, in November, I hit another milestone with a $31,000 in revenue and a gross profit of about $8,000. But then because of all the different expenses, the net profit ended up being about $5,000. Then in December, I generated about $34,000 in revenue and $5,700 in profit. Now, here's an interesting analytic. The most profitable 30-day period was between November 19 and December 19, coinciding with Black Friday and Christmas. During this time, I brought in about $51,000 in revenue with a profit of $11,600. That's more than what I earned in my full-time job. So in my first full calendar year running my Amazon business, I achieved $203,000 in revenue with a profit of about $34,000. But technically the $34,000, it wasn't really the net profit because we went to conferences, basically a bunch of like business travel expenses, buying new equipments and things like that. At the end, we still got some profit out of it. We had to pay the IRS.
Who's we? It sounds like she's got a business partner, so there's somebody behind
which
this.
is great, but it wasn't 34,000 net that was sitting in my bank account, unfortunately. It's good that you're like reinvesting all the money into the business, because the idea is to grow it big enough that it will actually bring in profit and be able to sustain you and pay the bills. Now, this first year of running my Amazon business actually taught me several important lessons about just owning a business in general. It could be applied to any kind of business, honestly. First thing is that consistency is key. And I know this is kind of cliche, everyone talk about it, but it's important. There will be days with good results that reinforces your belief in the business, and there would be days where you will feel guilty about not spending enough time with your family, making you want to give it all up. However, staying consistent helped you learn and become more efficient in the end. So initially, I spent many hours just sourcing, preparing, learning, managing the day-to-day of the business. But by the end of the year, I didn't spend any time doing any kind of sourcing, because I did most of the sourcing in September, and I basically took like October, November, December almost off. I barely spent any time in the business, and I still make the most money out of it. The next one is adaptability.
Crazy.
When you find inefficiency in a business, you gotta adapt to new strategy to improve the efficiency. That's how I went from RA to OA. Seasonality is also important. Most sales actually happen during Q3 and Q4 due to the holidays. So this year, I focused my time elsewhere during Q1 and Q2, basically doing other side hustle, and will concentrate more on this specific business during Q3, which is about right now, all the way to Q4 to make the best use of my time. I know I talk about this next one a lot, and it's networking. So follow people who are doing the same thing as you, connect with them often, and really you will never know what kind of opportunity might arise from these connections. Networking also reinforces your belief in the viability of your business, because you will literally be seeing.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to post the video and as much, and I'm sure you could agree I haven't been on purpose to give you guys a better viewing experience. But this is truly amazing. I'm not sure she's, I was going to say a single mom, but a mother anyways, through pregnancy and all of this, the hustle with a full-time job, showing you that it's possible if you set your mind to it. This is truly inspiration. It's making me want to do more. Literally making me want to do more. And you're watching at home, not taking action. Do something,
a bunch of other people in the same business achieving great success. You'll be seeing people posting about like them making consistently 30 to 100K in revenue every single month. And that basically proves that the business model works. You know, they have already demonstrated that success. If they can do it, so can you. Now, looking into the present so far in 2024, I have brought in about 70K in revenue with a net profit of about $11,000. I spent a little bit more hiring people and stuff. So remarkably, I now spend only about 7 hours a week on this business, a quarter of the time I actually spent last year, since it's the low season right now. However, sourcing remains the #1 bottleneck in this business. It requires a lot of time to qualify and purchase good products and constantly monitor sales that is going on in all the different retail stores. Could be very time consuming. So moving forward, I actually aim to yet again transition to a different strategy, and that is wholesale and brand direct. The virtual assistant I hired before have already researched and contacted over 1,000 brands for me, and we have already opened about 20 to 30 accounts so far, but I still have to basically manually go over their catalog and see what product is actually selling well on Amazon and how many of them I can buy. And then I will have to call them, build a relationship, negotiate the pricing to make it a worthwhile purchase. And then the benefit of going into wholesale and brand direct are pretty significant, because while the profit per unit is lower, you can actually secure a larger volume. It's a volume game. Additionally, once you overcome from the initial phase of finding good product in a specific brand, the ongoing sourcing effort basically decreases because we'll simply place a purchase order with the brand every month, and the prep center would handle all the preparation and shipping it to Amazon. So in the end, I really don't have to do much. It will be even less time that I have to spend in this business. So as with any new venture, setting up new system and also processes takes time in the beginning. The goal is to make the business leaner and more efficient. Once that's achieved, operations should basically run more smoothly. So this is my plan for 2024 and 2025. It's basically to scale the business to about $1 million in revenue every year and expand further from there. Now, to scale any business, access to capital is crucial. I achieved this by opening multiple business credit cards and leveraging basically their promotion, something like the 0% APR or 0% interest on purchase for 12 to 15 months, and there are plenty out there. So this essentially provided me with almost like a loan cap at the credit limit, which I didn't need to pay off until the end of the promotional period. This strategy allowed me to scale the business without using much of my own capital. So for a deeper dive into this topic,
let's see what the comment section says, because this was truly inspirational. That's what these videos are about, to see how other people done it, and maybe it could spark something for you. Well, to see someone do a transparent video on FBA, Amazon FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, without shilling a course. Incredible modesty and hard work. Great job. It's a great comment right there. Just had a baby, works full-time job. I said this mid-video. Okay, runs her own business. Is this woman superwoman? That is the pinnacle. That is the biggest takeaway from this video. She's had a baby, she's doing full-time job and all this, but yet she's still able to produce or create something just like this. Why can't you do the same? You see, it's possible, man. If it's possible for one person, it's possible for all. Full transparency, new sub, good job. Yeah, this video went viral, didn't it? I could just imagine the mental and emotional resilience it takes to keep believing that the business will work despite of the small returns in the beginning. Very true. Very, very true. Thank you for distinguishing your revenue from your profit. Other people are never upfront about these figures. Great video. Very true. So one of the other major takeaways from this video is it's not that easy. It's really not. It sounds great what she just said, but it's truly not that easy. And before you dive in, you need to make sure you've got as much as possible figured out, because this sounds great, but it's really not. The beginning is very, very rough with Amazon FBA, but it's possible. That's the whole point for this video. Okay, so let me know your thoughts. Would you do this? Would you recommend this? Have you got experience in this, doing Amazon FBA? Me, it's a 50-50, but I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below if you would do it. Like the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. God bless.